Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having filled this first Menti question. That's the introduction of our second session of Quality Monthly webinar, and I'm glad to have you here on board. I'm Bernard Kochmann, I'm the IRQB coordinator, and I will moderate this webinar today. There are today more than 440 people attending this webinar, which is absolutely huge. And we will go through several presentations and important information regarding the today topic. But before starting, I would like to share with you a very special moment. In fact, you will be the first one discovering the new video the IRQB has produced to advertise the rail quality. So therefore, now let's take 100 seconds to see this first video.
Rail is the most sustainable means of mass transportation, and it's ready to meet the challenges of growing traffic volumes and climate change that we face today. Maximizing the positive impact of all rail transportation. That's our goal at the International Rail Quality Board, or IRQB for short. We're working to push rail to the forefront of our daily mobility by advocating for a global culture of quality throughout the whole sector. Labelled by 3 quality performance levels: bronze, silver and gold. IRQB brings together leading companies in rail operations, system integration and equipment manufacturing from all around the world. Our members are committed to enhancing the attractiveness and competitiveness of the sector. To achieve that, we focus on improved product quality and advanced cooperation between all stakeholders. That's why IRQB supports, develops and implements the IRIS certification scheme, a globally recognized system for the evaluation of rail sector companies. It focuses on the quality performance of rail companies, which benefits both the supply chain and the individual rail businesses. IRQB is certain better quality means higher business performance through enhanced customer satisfaction. It means advanced competitiveness, attractiveness, efficiency and resilience of the rail sector. And it means improved daily mobility for all of us.
So, this video, of course, will be visible just after this webinar on the our website www.irqb.org, and will be used, of course, in the next future in all our communication elements, and you might also share it with your relatives on that point of view. So coming back now to the today topic, I have seen in the Menti poll that most of the audience is having experience in remote auditing, and therefore I think that you have surely questions, interrogation, doubts about this new method of auditing, which is quite surprising. And 1 year ago, I would say that most of us would have said never again, or never, not again, never we will be able to do such kind of methodology, and now we are in the middle of it. So all the interrogations, all these points will be tackled today in this webinar about this new approach to ensure that customers keep trust in the certificates and in the organizational systems. It's true that this COVID-19 pandemic has forced us to open new ways of working because we were forced to reduce our travels. We are, most of us, in home office, and also we have to keep social distances even today after almost 1 year in a lot of countries. So therefore, it's something we had to take into account, to establish, to control as well, in order to get a product quality confidence, what is always the aim of the IRI certification, and what is also, as you have seen in the video, the aim of the IRQB lately. We have not to forget the fact that we need to have results of audits, factual results, and despite the difficulties, we have really to ensure this confidence in this in our company. So before continuing, I would like to introduce the speakers today. We have today the experience of four in Alstom as well. We will have Thierry Rebourg, the Work Group 12 leader, who was in fact in charge of the remote working work group, Deputy Director of Supplier Quality Performance at SNCF. Then Jana Jung, as well, our Development Manager, who is in charge of the management of the remote auditing validation. And last but not least, Rafael Kosowski. He is our lead auditor at European approach on the field. For now, as can you hear me? My microphone.
Not clearly.
I hope you hear me. I will speak a little bit louder. Yes. So the don't forget to ask questions on menti.com. Menti.com is the number on the top. You use it and you can raise the question, which I will then select to ask our speakers. Let's start now immediately, and I will start with the point of view of Jana Jung, who will explain you the requirement to be achieved in order to go through a very effective remote auditing. Jana, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Werner. I hope you are all able to hear me. Genau. So welcome to our IRQB webinar. My name is Jana Jung, and as Werner already said, I'm the IRIS Development Manager. And today I would like to give you the point about the remote auditing from the view of the IRIS Management Center. So we maybe continue with the next slide, because I guess this slide might be quite familiar to some of you. This is the new normal way of working. So I guess all of you have experienced one of these situations, because in the last year, our homes became the epicenter of our lives. So what we do there, we are living there, we are working there, we are schooling there, and we unfortunately have to spend our or most of our leisure time there. So I guess you are quite familiar with these situations in the pictures. Of course, also we in the IMC are currently working from home, and also the IRIS certification process had to be adapted to this very special situation at the moment. This is why since September 2020 it is possible to perform even the IRIS certification scheme audits remotely. But if you think of a producing company that has, for example, maintenance and manufacturing in their scope, I guess you would all agree that remote auditing or remote working might be not a good solution. So maybe we go to the next slide, because there you can see the difficulties of remote auditing. So just imagine how could these kinds of activities be assessed remotely. I guess everybody of you would agree that for the people in the pictures, it is absolutely not possible to work from home, and they have to be on site, and they have to also be performing on site. So this is why in the beginning, when we started with the remote audits, it was also not allowed to perform a fully remote audit in a company that had maintenance or manufacturing activities. And I guess you also will agree when I say that it is very difficult to perform a remote audit in such a situation. So this maybe also leads to my next slide, where I would like to ask you, okay, some of you already answered it. Which areas do you think is the hardest to be assessed remotely? Maybe we spend some seconds on this slide, then you can give your answers. We have the different opportunities for production flow, for competence management, for maintenance flow, and for the special processes. Okay. You can enter the Menti at menti.com. Just use the code and then you can click on the different slides. Okay, perfect. Yes, I already see. So you quite agree with your opinions, as the production and also the special processes are really hard to be assessed remotely. I fully understand this, because if you imagine you need to assess the operation of a welding machine or of a welding robot, this can be completely hard to do remotely. So maybe we enter the next slide, where I tried to sum up the prerequisites for the remote auditing. So remote auditing really requires a precise and advanced preparation. This is the absolute key to have a successful remote auditing, and I also guess that the other speakers that are coming will agree completely on this point. So first, the auditee and the auditor need to align carefully. So they need to align how the audit shall be conducted. They also need to align on the time schedule, as remote auditing is really difficult, and it requires a high amount of concentration. but there are also some other aspects that need to be considered. So first, if the company or the auditor is planning to do a remote audit, a risk assessment has to be sent to the IMC, because we also have some dedicated cases where remote audits are possible, but we also have some cases where remote audits are not possible. Then the second thing that needs to be aligned, and that is absolutely key for a successful remote audit, is the trial meeting. So before the real start of the audit, a trial meeting needs to be planned, and there all the different prerequisites need to be checked. So the first one, and I guess everybody who's working from home will completely agree, a good internet connection is very, very important. So during the trial meeting, the internet connection needs to be checked, and it needs to be checked in all areas where the remote audit shall take place. So not only in the offices or in the meeting rooms, but also in the production area. Then the second aspect that is absolutely important for a remote audit is that the auditor and the auditee needs to be familiar with all the technical resources. So they need to agree how they want to conduct the remote audit, what IT software should be used, and then everybody should be familiar with it. For example, how to share a screen, how to use the camera, how maybe to take over the control. All of this shall be tested during the trial meeting. And then the last picture is the IT equipment used, for example, for a production visit. So there needs to be some IT equipment that is capable to perform the audit at every location of the site that has or that is audited. Only if the preparation is done carefully, there is no issue why a remote audit should not take place. So I guess this is absolutely the best way to handle these very special situations at the moment. And if the remote audit is planned well, then there is no reason why it should not take place, and there's also no reason why it is different to a usual audit. Maybe we go to the next slide, because there I give a little overview about the audits that are eligible or that are possible to be performed remotely. So in general, it can be summed up that all the audits at already certified companies where nothing has changed are possible to be performed remotely. So the surveillance audit and also the recertification audit is no issue to be performed remotely, and also the readiness review, the re-audit or the remote follow-up of cars is absolutely possible for remote auditing. But there are also some cases where a remote audit is not possible. And this we see on the next slide. Because here you see the audit types that are excluded from remote auditing. Of course, if a company is completely new to IRIS and if the auditor has never been on site, then it is not possible to perform a remote audit. This is why certification audits are excluded, as well as pre-audits that are performed before the certification audit, but also other audits where changes occur are not allowed. This is, for example, a transfer audit. So if the certification body changes and the auditor has not been on site, it's not possible to perform a remote audit. Or also if there were major changes in the organization. For example, they moved or they have a new ownership, then a remote audit is also not possible. And what needs to be kept in mind for the future, 2 consecutive remote audits are not possible. So yes, the remote audits are used at this very special situation, but they at the moment shall be exceptional. And as you can also imagine, conflict resolutions, or if there have been any complaints, then the audit shall also be performed on site. Yeah, so these are all our rules we have at the IMC. But I guess remote auditing is the best possible way to handle this very special situation. And we also made some very good experiences in the past with the remote audits So we at the IMC are convinced that remote audits are a possible way to be performed at the moment. And now I thank everybody for your patience, and I hand back to Bernard.
Thank you very much, Jana, for this clear explanation on the topic. I just want to add on what you said, that within the IRQB, we are always willing to check and to see if all our presentations and ways of working are at the latest status. And this means as well that for the remote auditing, we are currently starting a review, analyzing the outputs we had in the last 6 months, and maybe also finding solutions for the future and for the next months of this work. So for this now, I would like to hand over the floor to Thierry Rebout from SNCF. He is the leader of this working group of IRQB dealing with the analysis of the remote process, and he will share with us his thoughts on that. Thierry, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Bernard. Hello to everyone. As Jana Junk recalled, remote auditing has become an obvious necessity. You can pass the slide, please, Arthur. Thank you. The working group remote audit that I want to thank today for the quality of the work done, composed of all stakeholders of the IRQB, was keen to draft the text with condition of quality requirement and insurance. What important aspect should be addressed during an IRIS remote audit? First, the health situation has allowed us to develop the practice of remote audit. Remote audits are not intended to replace face-to-face audit. Surely we all believe in that. The aim is to maintain the certification system operational in a constrained context. It's a matter of credibility and fairness for us. This transitional situation will allow the maintenance of the IRIS certification in a given framework. This requires working with trust from all stakeholders and with vigilance regarding the level of requirement, and especially with a confidence relation. Enhanced audit preparation between auditees and auditors is a main condition. It was true for the audit. It is even more true for remote audit. It's important to rely on audit evidence provided by auditors with dynamic means. Transparency must be the rules. So it leads us to evolve by ensuring that they are properly implemented. We need to double our attention in the audit, in the remote audit, sorry. The measurement of the performance of IRIS certified companies guarantees us responsiveness to any degradation. It's still a question of credibility. The available feedback shows a rise in competence of all the actors due to their efficiency. So that is very important. The current scoping must therefore remain reviewable to consider the continuities in a sustainable degraded context. This point is for me really current for our working group, and we have a question to continue and to pursue our writing. You can change the slide, please. Thank you. We have already discussed this point about prerequisite with Jana. So it's very important to recall the 5 major acts in order to understand that our common objective of success requires a commitment of all. The prerequisites are therefore decisive to make a remote audit possible. The pedagogical phase must be replaced by a least equivalent situation. You can observe 5 major acts. The first one is that of the auditors, Teams audit especially. Have control of the audited seat, very important, can manage remote audit, and have a trial meeting before intervention. The second is that of the organization. Audit must be deeply prepared and detailed with mandatory topics, items, and participants. Organization shall know at least one auditor and does not impose additional roles. The third act is that of the control. In addition to rules ensuring fairness in the conduct of an audit, a witness audit can be imposed for fully or semi-remote audit. The fourth axis is that of the audit. Before decision of a remote audit, ensure that the conditions for implementation are met. It's important too. The last and not the least act is that of legal requirement. Organization and certification bodies shall ensure that electronically exchanged data are safe and that confidentiality requirements are met. To conclude, remote audit requires all stakeholders, I repeat again, to be involved in the search for a just, transitional, and opposable solution. The diversity of situations faced may require different treatment in the time spent, but identical in terms of quality requirement. Thank you, Bernard.
Thank you, Thierry, for this approach. Now I propose to have to go to a more practical way, which is the experience of an auditor. And here I would like to give the floor now to Rafał Kozlowski, an IRIS lead auditor for Bureau Veritas. Rafał, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Bernard. So short introduction from my side. So hello for everyone. My name is Rafał Kozłowski, and I'm an IRIS lead auditor and I work for Bureau Veritas in Poland. So during today's webinar, I would like to share with you my experience from the field and answer the question how it looks like in practice. So, like it was mentioned, the pandemic situation during last year transferred many of our activities into the internet, and auditing process, which was normally performing on site, also go to the online. So the remote audits became something new for all interested parties, companies, certification bodies, auditors around the world at many certification schemes. So the main question is how to conduct the remote audit. Next slide, please. Like it was mentioned, the IRIS certification remote activities regulate the procedure, which set up the rules and requirements for performing the remote audits. So the prerequisites and audit planning are the first steps. Of course, rules are mentioned at point 4 and 5 of this procedure, but what I want to focus it's two, let's say, main aspects which are important from the audit point of view. So the first key to the success is self-assessment of the companies before they apply to start remote audit procedure. The main question that the organization should ask themselves are, can we organize the remote audit, and do we have technical and organizational possibilities? If the answer is positive, process can be started. If no, the identified problems should be solved. The next very important point is the trial meeting. The purpose of the trial meeting is to ascertain this technical feasibility of the remote audit. So the meeting should be planned between all involved auditors and also the organization representative. Of course, the trial meeting should be conducted with the same media platform like it will be used during the remote audit. The trial meeting also verified the status of current operation of the company, IT equipment and connection with testing of sharing the screens in both ways. It's also required. And the main important thing is the testing of video connection at production areas if the audit, fully remote audit, will be conducted in that areas. And on the end, in case of fully remote audit at manufacturing or maintenance area, shop floor layout should be also present to highlight it, how it looks like the production. Audit planning is part of the trial meeting, so draft of the plan should be discussed between auditors and company representative, and the audit plan is the next key to the success of remote audit, because the audit plan should be prepared very detailed, divided into the sections with information which section will be office section, what kind of session will be workshop session, also information about responsibilities and auditees should be present at an audit plan. The dates, time frames, it's also required. So the perfect planning will give a huge benefit into the audit realization on the next step. Next slide, please. Yes, audit realization. So like I mentioned, the audit plan should reflect which part is conducted, it can be conducted during the office session, and which part will be conducted during the workshop session. So office session include processes when the documented information can be presented by sharing the screen. So currently, most of the companies has the documentation and the electronic version or available from ERP systems, so it's quite easy to present it. So documented information which are at paper version can be scanned or take a photo by auditees and can be also present by screen sharing. So audit can be conducted at the same level. Workshop session is challenging for both sides, audited companies and also auditors. Remote audit, in fact, is less comfortable, consume more time than in normal on-site audit. So auditors steering, let's say, give a comment person who operate mobile devices. Communication during this process is also very important because some areas can be quite noisy. So for example, headphones can be mandatory. So patience and understanding from both sides are welcome. That's why this perfect planning and also this trial meeting are so important, because adopting the changing during the process at workshop is very challenging for the auditors and also for the audited companies. Of course, like in normal audit, auditor can decide about the question that he will ask, about the evidence that he will check. If there will be some interruption or time losses during to break down the internet connection, the auditor, of course, shall take additional time for performing the audit. And of course, if more than one session runs at the same time, equipment shall be adapted accordingly. Next slide, please. Here on the slide, I highlighted the main interruption during the remote audits. So audit participants are not familiar with the communication platform. use it to conduct the audit, so it's stressful for participants, audit participants, and also consume the time. Setting of meeting screen, sometimes it's not possible to share the screen by auditees or by auditor, so it's also not a good situation. And on the end, the missing reliable internet connection in workshop areas or even in all audit, it's also issue that does not give a, let's say, benefit. Next slide, please. Yes, so here it's a few success conditions, so few tips about how to, let's say, prepare to the remote audit. So of course, like I mentioned, so verification of auditees that they can use the platform, they understand how to do it. Audit coordinator is also very important because if something during the audit we have some problems or something like that, we can quickly connect with this audit coordinator and solve the problem during the audit. Of course, backups like second devices fully charged, it's also quite present if audit plan describe that production process is quite long. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so I will try to summarize this aspect. So first main step is self-assessment of the companies. The second step, the important step, is trial meeting to ascertain this technical feasibility. Next step, detailed audit plan, and on the end, last step is audit realization. Thank you very much for participating at this webinar. I hope that the information that I was present will be useful and helpful for preparation for the remote audits. So thank you very much. Thank you, Bernard.
Okay, thank you, Rafael, for this very interesting and experiences you share with us. I guess I see there are quite a lot of questions related to your presentation, and I will come back to you later on. Now I would like to ask Thierry Hémé, our IRIS chairman, about a summary of what we expect and what is for him and in his view the necessity in terms of remote auditing. Thierry, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. So let's go to the first slide, please. I am in charge also of quality for Alstom. So nevertheless, I think that you have seen in the last three presentations that why remote auditing. So as Bernard was saying just before, 1 year ago, we were not thinking about remote auditing, but now, after 1 year, we learn about this new process. Basically, we have, I would say, some key requirements that we cannot forget. Trust in quality performance, that is key. We cannot lose this trust. We have also to take care and to increase the confidence of customer, and we have to be compliant with the standard for sure. So, but with the COVID-19, we have been forced to be agile. The world is changing, and we have, I would say, to be agile. And in fact, we have learned something about that. Nevertheless, in IRIS, what we have decided is to do no compromise on the quality of the audit. So it was something that was key. So we were absolutely reluctant at the beginning. And after we try, I would say that for each risk to mitigate and to have some good mitigation action plan in order to have, I would say, no compromise on the quality of the audit, even when we are doing remote auditing. So the next slide, and you have seen that with Jana, that of course we have, I would say, some point of attention. When we have to do the review of the risk analysis, is it relevant with the reality? So when we are in a remote context, how to ensure that it's really relevant? The same for the accuracy and the relevancy of the KPIs. So it's not only, I would say, paper review. It's something that we have, I would say, to see on the shop floor. Also, I would say when we are doing process, we review, I would say, the process review and the management review, how it's in line with or not with the reality and what we can discover when we are doing a physical audit. A special attention also for the special processes. Basically, it's not on paper. It's not only on paper that we can have to ensure that it's well done or not well done. On manufacturing processes also, it's you know that because when we have done the survey, it was obvious that it's the most difficult part to audit in a remote way. And the last but not least, I would say the customer perception, how to be sure that the customer perception is taken into account in the management system. So the next slide, in fact, it's more or less what Rafal was saying. Just before me, it's preparation, preparation, and preparation. Preparation on the document, preparation to be sure that all the IT tool, camera are working well. Is not when we are doing the audit that we have to verify that. On preparation, and we have to do the test for sure. We have also to have, I would say, some specific process to ensure that the conclusion will be the good one. And one of the points that we have seen during this period is that we have done a lot of witness audit. It was not the case before, but it's also a way to control the accuracy of the audit, even when it's done on a remote way. And to be honest, it's even more easy to do witness audit when it's done in a remote way than in a physical way. But I would say we have to learn. We have to learn from the past experience. Sure that we are not doing exactly, I would say, in the same way at the beginning of the COVID-19 crisis than now. So we are learning. And even we think that perhaps it could be interesting for the auditor, not perhaps the audit, but I would say for the auditor, I would say to have some specific training in order to be sure that what we have learned from the last 12 months will be really taken into account in order to do something that will be efficient and better. So it's more or less, I would say, the conclusion of the 3 presentations that you have seen. And I think it's time for question and answer now, I think.
Okay, thank you very much, Thierry, for this summary. And effectively, we have quite a lot of questions. But before entering the question and answer session, I think I will already announce, because I know that some of you are sometimes a little bit in a hurry because of the lot of activities. Please note immediately that the next Quality Monthly seminar will be held on the 9th of April, Friday 9th of April, and the topic is again a very actual topic, which will be a silver quality performance level. So please note it immediately. And now I would like to enter in the question and answer session. The first question, I would ask Jana to give her point of view. What is your feedback about the quality of the findings of audit done remotely versus physically? So this is a little bit the experience we have in terms of reporting. And here, Jana, you have quite read a lot of reports in the last month. Jana?
Yeah, this is absolutely true. At the IMC, we are doing checks of the audit reports. And from my point of view, there are no major differences between the audits that were performed remotely and the ones that were performed on site. So if there are any special problems regarding the audit reports, it's no matter whether they were performed remotely or whether they were performed on site. It's mainly more the form of the audit report. So we sometimes have some difficulties with the reports, and we also request corrections at the certification bodies, but there's no difference between remote or on-site audits. Maybe Rafael has something to add, but from my point of view, it's nearly similar.
Yeah, Rafael, some points?
Yes, so my point of view, let's say the reporting is the same. We only add the information at the report that the audit was performed on site with information how it was conducted and what kind of communication platform was used. But during the, let's say, on the end preparation of report, the routine is the same. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rafael. You can keep the floor because the next question is directly directed to you. There is effectively the question is really linked to the practical experience and what are the main difficulties you encounter in a remote audit, really focusing on points where the companies should absolutely take care in the remote audit.
Okay, so yes, like I was mentioned during the presentation, the conducting remote audits, it's something I think new. This is a new skill, I think, for everyone that needs to be learned. So from the office, let's say, sessions, it's quite, let's say, without any problems. So we can check everything. We can ask a question if everything can be presented on the screen. So the level of, let's say, audit is the same. So the crucial point is always verification of production or maintenance aspects, because this is, let's say, something new. So normally auditor on site has, let's say, eyes, head, can turn around, see more. If we are on remote, we have a picture from mobile devices. So the person which has these mobile devices has connection with us, and we ask him, okay, now we will go to this machine, or now we will go to the next step of the process. Can you show us documentation? Of course, it's very hard, it's time consuming, it's less comfortable, but on the end, we need to, let's say, collect the evidence and to compare to the requirements that is described on the standard. So it can be done, but of course, also the level of tiredness is more. It's required higher level of concentration. So it's more difficult process, but on the end, yes, it can be done if, of course, everything is working properly. So the connection of the video is okay on the field. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rafael. So the next question, I would raise it to Thierry Aimé. In fact, this is challenging the remote audits towards the worker safety and the fact that some companies have decided to not go for an audit in this period of time and would like to restart later on. I mean, Thierry, what is your vision on that? Is it acceptable to stop because of the health issue and to restart later on, regarding the fact that customers are still delivered with parts and may have an expectation? Thierry?
Yeah, it's not an easy question, this question, because, but basically I would say we have to go back to the basic. If I would say an entity think that it's not safe to do an audit, then I think it will be difficult to say yes, it's safe, because who better than the local entity will know exactly if it's safe or not safe. So I would say safety first, for sure. We have to take care of the people, to take care of the auditor, to take care of the auditee, and it's obvious that we have, I would say, to put as, I would say, a rule, safety first. Now, the question that we could have is that if we are still producing parts and we cannot do an audit or a remote audit, then I have some question mark about that. So I would say, but basically, we cannot force an entity to do to accept an audit. It's really something that is a tool to improve the business, and I would say what else? I think for me it's quite strange now that how not to perform, I would say, a remote audit if we are still producing somewhere. So it's really a question mark, and I'm okay. I have some doubt about the decision, but at the end, the decision should be local, and if the site decides that it's too dangerous based on the risk analysis, for sure we cannot go on the site. It's obvious.
Thank you, Thierry. The next topic, there are several questions which I will put together linked to the impossibility which were given and shown by Jana on several types of audits done remotely. For instance, silver awarding, gold awarding in the future, 2 remote audits in a row, and how to do this. I already explained that we are now having started a reflection on this feedback, but maybe Thierry Rebourg, as the leader of the group, you can give us a little bit how you see now the discussion on this, these topics, which we have blocked currently. But due to the experience, how we will proceed, or what are the discussions ongoing on the next steps in the next weeks? Thierry?
Thierry is on mute, I assume.
Yes, excuse me. Can you put the question on the screen? You can put the question or repeat again the question?
I mean, there are several questions. The point is about all the elements which we are not possible remotely today, meaning doing 2 audits in a row, having a silver or later on a gold awarding if it's a remote audit. I said that we are currently discussing this. Just give us your point of view on evolution of the process, because we have restarted now discussions. Give us your first idea on that point, maybe.
Okay, so it's a large question. It's difficult to give an answer directly. So I think it's very important to integrate this question about the evolution of the remote audit. We just have to remember that remote audit is consists to pass this period, this difficult period, and not to give a solution for the future. And I think it's better to share this question with a working group, and to have a rex about the situation after 1 year, and to imagine the evolution. So I complete this my point of views with another question I see about the cost of the audit, if you want, because it's not a problem of a cost of the audit. When you speak about the validities of the remote audit, for us at time it's the same, because we just give an answer at this bad situation at the period of COVID. And for the future, we can't imagine remote audit in other conditions. A complement for appreciate the performance of the companies, and just and not to maintain the certification. And so for that, I think it's very important to have a new reflection to pursue the writing of the text, because I can explain my point of views just step by step for this question. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Thierry. Then I have, according to time, I have 2 remaining questions. I think there are for Rafael. The first one is linked. There are several questions linked to the fact to audit production remotely. And you have understood that this is a quite crucial point, and one specific element linked to the special processes. So maybe you can give us your expertise in what is important or different when you audit production areas, and when you have to assess either the performance or the requirements itself from the special processes. Rafael?
Okay. this is, let's say, responsibility of each auditor how to do it, because each of auditor has own style. My style is, let's say, that I split production manufacturing process into the office session, and then I go to the, let's say, manufacturing session, and on the end I go to the office session. So during the office session, I can, let's say, verify production planning. I can verify how it looks like, let's say, change management according to, of course, the documented information that it's on the let's say system, and also special processes. For example, I can start to take a look what kind of special processes are managed, who is responsibility, how many people are assigned, let's say some rules, general rules. And then during the let's say manufacturing session, I can go to the, let's say, painting area, for example, and then take a look what kind of personnel is adopted, do they have any instructions, what is inside the instruction. Of course, it's difficult, like I mentioned, because someone needs to put the camera and show me, let's say, details inside the instruction, let's say. So it's quite difficult to present. But it can be, yes, if I will have, let's say, additional questions which they cannot respond during the manufacturing session because something is missing or the rules are described at the system. So I go back after the, let's say, manufacturing session, and then this all question that it was without answers, I can check at office. So. But of course, this is my, let's say, way of working. Of course, each of auditors has own style, so it always depends on the end on the auditor decision, because the auditor run audit like he wants and also like he wants to check or verify it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rafael. There is an additional point in terms of organization of the audit. What about the breaks? Is there an impact on the breaks when you are auditing remotely regarding the time?
Yes, of course. So I used to take more breaks, short breaks, let's say. So for example, if I have, I don't know, 5 hours for manufacturing process or 6, on the beginning, I try to, let's say, set up well when the breaks will be captured. But of course, during the audit, it's real life, yes. So also auditees can raise, let's say, information that can we take a break. It's not a problem, yeah, you know, it's normal audit, like in, so maybe it's not a normal audit, it's remote audit, so it's harder. But the rules are, let's say, similar, yes. So so normally in remote audits, you know, picture is going on the eyes, so it's harder, and the level of tiredness it's more. So I take more shorter breaks during that kind of process to recover. Yes, thank you.
Okay, this indeed will mean that if you have more time for break, in order to ensure the minimum day of audit, you need a little bit more time, which was as well said by Thierry before. Okay, thank you, Rafael. Very last question for Jana, a statistical question. There is a question about how many remote audits in IRIS were done and have you validated? Can you give us the amount?
Yes, sure, I can give you the amount. I just cross-checked it. And in the year 2020 and the year 2021, we already got risk assessments that were approved for over 230 audits. So there's really a high amount of audits that have been performed remotely in the last month.
Okay, thank you very much, Jana. So I would leave the last summary words to Thierry. Thierry Aimé, as chair of IRIS, what are your last words linked to the implementation of remote in this COVID period, where we do not see the definitive end up to now, and how you foresee the next months, weeks and months. Thierry?
I see the next period in a positive way, to be honest, because we have demonstrated in IRIS, and we will pursue that we were enough agile not to stop all the certification. You have seen that with Viana, we have done so many, I would say, remote audit in a successful way. We have also to be inclusive, I would say, in the way that you have seen also in this presentation, that we try to have the people, the operators, the manufacturer, the auditor, etc., in order to capture all the experience and to learn during this period. And I think that we have also to be fully responsible and accountable, because today certification and remote audit, it's really a way to improve the efficiency of all the company. And it's a responsibility, and to stop was not at all the solution. To continue and to do in a remote way was really the solution, and I'm sure that in the future it's something that we can use as an experience and as a new skill for the next period without COVID-19. I really hope that it will come very soon. So thank you to have given me the possibility to do the conclusion of this webinar.
Thank you very much, Thierry. So it's true, now we have come to an end of this hourly quality monthly. You see the next one is already planned. You can already register for it, and very soon you will have as well the names and the topics we will address in this seminar. I would also just confirm that this seminar was recorded and will be available just after, in a couple of minutes, on the IRQB website, www.irqb.org, and you will be able to see again all the slides and all the intervention of all the experts. Then I will thank again all my speakers today, Thierry Aimé, Thierry Rebout, Raphael Kozlowski, and Jana Jung, as well as Arthur Tena, our communication responsible for the IRIS scheme, having organized this and having made available all these elements. Thank you very much. I know all the questions could not be answered in this time. If you have additional questions, don't forget that you can use our general channels of information. Is it on IRQB website or on IRIS website? I thank you for the attention. I wish you a nice weekend, and hope to have you again on board and the next Quality Monthly in April on Silver Performance. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.